Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So continuing on with coverage of synchro decks for no particular reason other than that I really like them. And there's a lot of them I want to play right now. One of which is Centurion. There's actually a couple of different Centurion builds that I've had my eye on lately. Only one of which is pure Centurion. Actually, wasn't even really one of them, but I figured I'd start with pure Centurion and then kind of work my way into some other builds for this season. So this is my current take on pure Centurion. I think the most notable difference from last season is that we were on the Ringo Worm before. Ringo Worm, the dragon guarding the 100 apples. I think, on a full playset of this card, actually. And while I don't think that Ringo Worm is bad in a deck like this, I don't think you necessarily need it by any means, actually. And I definitely don't think you need a full playset of it in this deck. The main thing that I don't really like about Ringo Worm in this deck is that it takes up your normal summon. Now, we don't always need our normal summon in order to be able to do plays, right? If you open, for example, the stand-up Centurion, I don't believe that actually takes up your normal summon to do that line. But for stuff like the pre-meta, as well as, of course, Trudea, we are going to want our normal summon a lot of the time. Another popular level 2 tuner is to use the Assault Synchron, which is definitely not a bad pick. This one can specialist summon itself. The benefit of Ringo Worm is that it provides 2 tuner bodies, of course with the banish effect as well, but the Assault Synchron being able to special itself from hand, I think is quite good. I guess Ringo Worm does also have the upside of being able to be searched by Magnum Hut, but really a lot of the time you're going to want a Magnum Hut for one of your Bestials anyway. So I do want to note also that, yeah, we are on the Bestial package here, which I do think just tends to be optimal for a lot of Centurion decks. Doesn't have to be a big one, but one of each Magnum Hut, Druisworm, and Baldrake, 2 Lubellion, and then 1 Regained is what we have here for our package. You could also use a full playset of Lubellion if you wanted to. You could use all 3, but I decided to just keep the build at 40 cards and only keep it at 2. So I think one of the cool things about this deck is that it's really consistent. It's got a lot of room for hand traps. It kind of reminds me of Mathmech in that way a little bit. But the other cool thing about Centurion is that the combo line isn't like overly complicated. And although it might not seem like much, it is actually a lot more impactful than it might seem, right? That is, of course, to say ending on the Auxilia with the field spell setup, as well as typically the Phalanx face down, as well as the Premeta and Trudea, or possibly Gargoyle 2 in your spell trap zone, in order to be able to pull those out and synchro summon for a 12 on your opponent's turn, which could be Crimson Dragon to go into the Blazar/Supernova, or it could be Centurion Legatia as well. I will say that if I was going all in on Centurion, I'd probably actually craft a second Auxilia. I'd probably play that over a second Legatia. I haven't had a game where like having the second of either of these has really been a deciding factor, but I've had games where I almost needed a second Auxilia. I don't think I've summoned 2 Legatia. I might have summoned 2 Legatia in like one really grindy game. So I think there's definitely minor upsides to playing the second of each of the big level 12 Centurion synchros. But if I were more dedicated to this build, I would probably craft a second Auxilia. That said, for a lot of the Centurion variants that I'm going to be trying out, I've noticed you only really need 1 and 1. And again, even playing the pure build, you can definitely get away with 1 and 1 very easily. So you could also, if you really were like wanting to try this deck and wanting to budget out your URs, you could actually probably just get away with playing 2 Premeta, but of course this card being a 1-card combo, one of many 1-card combos in this deck, does mean you want to play 3. But yeah, she's a 1-card combo, Trudea is a 1-card combo, that also of course means the Bonfire Search Trudea are 1-card combos. Stand-Up Centurion's 1-card full combo. I believe Emblem Oath is also just a full combo, so and granted, Emblem Oath is the one of these cards that you don't actually have to play, because, like, you know, Premeta will always go for, like, Trudea, and then, you know, Stand-Up Centurion's always going to be part of your line, but Emblem Oath is technically optional in that regard, but this card just being another 1-card starter does, of course, mean that it is a 3 of in optimal builds of the Centurion deck. Let's see here. The Bonfires. I don't think I was actually playing these last time, but as I touched on just a moment ago, the Trudea is a Pyro monster. I believe they also have another Pyro monster, maybe even 2 coming out in the future, so I would expect Bonfire to be a pretty nice pick for this deck moving forward. Myth-4 was actually a new card that I wasn't playing in my previous build that I am trying out here. I haven't summoned it yet, but it is nice to be able to have a card to dump into the graveyard. Like a Centurion card you actually want to put in the graveyard with, like, for example, the Wake Up Centurion second effect here, right? So, also, of course, not bad to get that 3k defense body on the board occasionally. What else is there to really say about this build? Extra deck is super wide open. Again, if I was more committed to this deck, I might even craft the second Cosmic Blazar, because I have had games where I'm like, oh, I could have summoned the second Blazar, but you could also just summon Blazar and Red Supernova. That's also fine. Red Supernova, also fairly optional. There is actually, because, you know, a lot of these level 12 Crimson Dragon targets are like big URs, but there is actually one that's more budget and still not bad. It's this one, right? Yeah. Stardust Saphir Divine Dragon. So if you are looking for a budget level 12 synchro, I guess not really just for this build, but in general for Crimson Dragon, this is probably your go-to. It is a monster effect negate during either player's turn that then destroys any card on the field, not just the card you negated, although you could also destroy the card you negated, which is kind of cool. Also doesn't have to negate a monster effect activated on the field, just activates one negates one, period. Also, it protects each of your cards from being destroyed for one time each turn, which is also a fairly relevant effect. So, while not quite as like big and splashy as Blazar or Supernova's effects, again, the Stardust Saphir Divine Dragon, it's not even just a good budget target. I actually came very close to putting this in my deck. I think it's a fine card, but a lot of the time you would probably rather play these two if you're not already. Chaos Archfiend I see in this deck a lot, but honestly it's never come up for me. This deck does like having the ability to make level 8 synchros. That's kind of why I have the Excel Synchro. Well, also because of Assault Synchron is also why I have Excel Synchron in here. But I guess if you had Ringo Worm, that'd be another good reason too. Or Gamma also for that matter. Just any level 2 tuner to be able to make the level 10 Barrel and Defleur. You could also just play like regular Stardust Dragon with the Excel, but Excel already like pretty much never comes up in this deck. I don't know, not pretty much never, but very rarely comes up. So I think tributing for the Stardust would also come up extremely rarely as well. But again, I mean, there's still stuff in this extra deck that I never really make, like the Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. IP is definitely not necessary. Typhoon, as always, is never necessary, but always a decent option to have, so yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I want to say about the build. Like I said, it's pretty standard, honestly, at this point. So let's just break it down card by card, then we'll watch some of these replays we got here. So we got 2 Effect Veiler, 3 Max C, 1 Assault Synchron, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 3 Centurion Pre-Meta. We got 3 Centurion Trudea, 1 Bestial Magnum Hut, 1 Bestial Jerusalem, 1 Bestial Baldrake, 2 The Bestial Dubellion, 1 Centurion Emeth-4, 1 Centurion Gargoyle 2, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 Bonfire, 3 Stand Up Centurion. We got 1 Branded Regain, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Cross That Designator, 3 Emblem Oath, 1 Wake Up Centurion. We got 3 Infinite Permanents, and then 1 Centurion Phalanx for our main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, 1 Chaos Archfiend, 1 Baron de Fleur. We got 1 Bestial Dissipator, 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Cosmic Blazar Dragon, 1 Red Supernova Dragon, 1 Crimson Dragon, 2 Centurion Legatia, 1 Centurion Auxilia, 1 Starslayer Typhoon Sky Crisis, 1 Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 IP Masquerena, and then 1 SP Little Knight. There is our list. Let's go ahead and watch these games. Okay, our first replay is going to be against Voiceless Voice. I don't know about you all, but like, I don't really see that deck this much on ladder. The data for it is there. If you look on Untapped, I think it's got like an 8-point-something% play rate in Diamond and Master, but I just don't see it that often myself, so. Got a pretty good going first hand here. Going to lead with the Bonfire to go for the Trudea. We do also have both Stand-Up Centurion and Emblema Oath to start our combo as well as the Ash Blossom and Call By. Yeah, this is one of those like do whatever you want hands. Sometimes you open a hand in a deck where you just have like all the combo pieces you need. Like I don't even need to use the effect of Stand-Up Centurion here, which is actually pretty nice because it means I won't have to send a card from my hand to the graveyard. I definitely would like to keep all these, so. I got the Auxilia. Gargoyle 2 is going to add itself back to my hand. Auxilia, I guess I'll probably just grab like a Wake Up Centurion or something here. Or Emeth-4, yeah, why not? Because not really much else I need to search at this point. Putting the Pre-Meta back in the Spell Trap, and we are now good to go. Got the Phalanx for Disruption, and of course the level 12 Synchro. Opponent's going to lead with Saphira, Queen of the Dragons. Absolutely going to call by that and not Ash Blossom it, but I am going to Call By it, because by using Call By on it, I not only negate this effect, but I also prevent them from banishing this to Ritual Summon later in the duel. So yeah, it's really easy sometimes to be like, oh, Call By is used against hand traps, and sometimes you won't use it against other graveyard effects, just because, like, at least this is the way my brain works. I'm like, my brain will designate roles to cards, but sometimes that can be a hindrance, right? I try to use that as a shortcut, but sometimes my brain tries to say, oh, Call By is for hand traps, so that's like the shortcut I use, but no, Call By is for any graveyard effect, and that Saphira is definitely a very, very good one to Call By, so... now that I know they're on the Voiceless voice deck, I'm going to prioritize going into the Crimson Dragon for Blazar here. This is probably the biggest decision point of the Centurion game plan, is deciding which level 12 synchro to make during your opponent's turn and when to make it, right? If you're going to go for the Cosmic Blazar off the Crimson, then it's definitely best to use the Crimson effect sooner rather than later. But it's not always necessarily right to do that as your first action during their main phase, because there are some matchups, we're going to see a game, probably the next one here, where it is actually much better in that particular matchup to go into the Red Supernova, right? And sometimes it ends up being good to go into Legatia, so just keeping in mind, like, what the opponent's game state is. Now, the reason I went to Cosmic Blazar in particular against Voiceless Voice is because I know this deck has a very linear combo line, right? And I know that if I can just disrupt that one line, they're probably not going to have anything else they can do. So I'm prioritizing negates over anything else, right? They also typically don't make a very wide board, like they don't summon a ton of monsters, so Red Supernova, not quite as useful in this kind of a situation, right? Okay, they're going to normal summon the Diviner, not actually activating the effect, they're rather just going to go straight for the Superstar Slayer Typhon, which I could have actually negated the summon here with the Cosmic Blazar, but I ultimately opted to not do that because I'm like, I can just banish it with the Phalanx anyway. Now, they did have the Saurvis, the Ancient Dragon, Ancient and Ascended rather, in their hand, which is the target protection ritual monster. That is kind of the gamble that I took here, right? But I'm fine taking this gamble because even if, you know, the situation rises, which it did, where they have Saurvis against the Phalanx, and they bounce my Cosmic Blazar, I can still get over the Typhon with the Auxilia during my follow-up turn. So that's kind of the definition of a calculated risk, right? Choosing not to negate the summon. Because if I negate the summon of Typhon, they would be able to do more summoning this turn. Which I didn't want to take that chance on. I didn't think it was super likely they were going to really do anything, but again, just didn't want to take the chance, so. I'll Bonfire for another Trudea here, just to do a little bit of deck thinning. They do have the Call By against the pre-meta here, but that's fine, because it pretty much just means I won't get the Search. Which I don't really need it here, I do still get to summon. So yeah, no Search. Gonna summon out my Gargoyle 2 by sending the Trudea. And now I'll just move to battle phase to just maximize my damage here. Auxilia over the Typhon, and then a pre-meta and Gargoyle 2 battling directly. Now at this point, I know that I can just go for the Crimson Dragon into Blazar again, right? Because the negates that I threatened were already enough to pretty much stop my opponent from doing anything with a full hand, and I didn't even have to use my Ash Blossom last time, right? So if they're on two cards that weren't useful to them last turn and just their top deck, I think another Omni Negate is just the way to go here. And I stopped right there because I knew they were just going to concede right after that. My opponent realizing the same thing that I did about the situation. So, yeah, again, I would say when it comes to playing Centurion, that's your biggest decision point in this deck. The combo line itself is very linear, but when it comes to which level 12 you're going to make on your opponent's turn, that does, I think, require a good bit of thought. And I have seen situations, mostly playing against Centurion, where they kind of, like, go into the Blazar right away, and I'm kind of like, I think Supernova would be better here, but so, yeah, just keeping that in mind. We'll go ahead and go into our next game, which will show a situation where Supernova is useful. Alright, so we're going into our next game here. This one going to be against Tearlament, and you can already probably guess again how I said at the end of the last game why Red Supernova is going to be so useful here. Alright, going first again, and we have the Emblema Oath, which, as I said before, is enough to do a line by itself, because it can set up the stand-ups Centurion, say that 5 times fast, which of course is in and of itself a 1.5 card line, 1.5 because you have to discard a card. I discarded Magnum Hut here, but I really could have just discarded Gargoyle too, I'm pretty sure. I think I might have also been able to let this Ash Blossom go. Because I could have just sent the Trudea with the Gargoyle too. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I'm just searching Wake Up Centurion here, so I don't end up needing the Gargoyle too. So I did misplay in that regard. I think that I should have held, because I could have saved either my Cross-Out Designator or kept the Magnum Hut. I think I should have kept the Magnum Hut and still Cross-Out Designator the Ash Blossom, but then pitch the Gargoyle to the stand-up Centurion effect. I mean, either way, it's still fine here. We still have the Phalanx, the Auxilia, the setup into the 12, and Imprim as well, so... Opponent's going to lead with Shiren, pitch the Tier Cash, and wow, they mill both Rhino Heart and the other Shiren. Very, very good mills on their part. But as soon as I saw Tier monsters, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely just going to go for the Red Supernova as soon as possible here. And actually, the timing for this is going to work out pretty well with the fact they milled a Fuser here, because now I'm going to establish the Red Supernova after they've already committed to summoning a whole bunch of Tier Limit monsters to the field, right? Including the Kikkalos as well. So if I can get the banish on the Kikkalos, that's going to be extra good. Alright, Rhino Heart's going to mill here. Kikkalos is going to add. I'm actually going to imperm the Kikkalos in particular to not only stop the search, but also the possibility of a mill 5. The Rhino Heart I'm not really concerned about, because if they mill Havnus and go for Kaleido Heart, the way that the timing of this is going to work out is that I'll be able to banish it with the Red Supernova. So... yeah, because the way the chain link plays out here is Imperm negates, Stand-Up Centurion makes the Crimson Dragon. Right, and then now what's the next chain link? Oh yeah, it's pre-meta for the search. I'll just grab another Trudea here. Shell Beast draws them a card, Scream adds them Crime, sure, whatever, that's not relevant for this turn. Kikkalos gets negated, and now Rhino Heart's going to mill Havnus. Now on this chain link, Havnus will activate, and then I can use Crimson Dragon in the same chain link. So if they just go for Kaleido Heart here, I'm just going to summon, like, I'm summoning Red Supernova right now. So if they go for Kaleido Heart here, it's going to get banished. Like, yeah, its effect will still activate, but it'll be banished. So in order to save both their Kaleido Heart and their Kikkalos, looks like my opponent's actually going to go for the Dragostapelia here. Alright, now at this point it's kind of a waiting game. I'm waiting for them to do something a little more threatening before I commit to activating either my Phalanx or the Red Supernova effect here. They're going for Dugaris the Timeless, so I am going to use Phalanx here for two reasons. One, I don't want them to detach to draw to dig for more stuff. And two, I don't want them to attack into the defense mode Auxilia and be able to summon Zeus here. So that's why I'm going to threaten the Dugaris with the Phalanx. I was a little surprised when my opponent actually chained the Phalanx with Dragostapelia target Red Supernova. I was secretly hoping something like this might happen, but I really didn't think it was going to, because there's kind of no benefit to doing it right now. Because now I just simply chained the Red Supernova and banished the whole board. So now instead of temporarily losing the Dugaris, they permanently lose both the Dugaris and the Dragostapelia. And then yeah, they can normal summon the searched Rhino Heart, but it's not going to get its effect, so that's fine, right? Their two face downs are Crime and then just one Unknown. And yeah, they're not even going to try to actually play out my turn here, because I have multiple ways to get my plays going. I have the ability to summon pre-meta from the Spell Trap. I have the Trudea that I added. I still have Stand-Up Centurion's effect. I could also just turn Auxilia to attack mode and then battle over Rhino Heart, and then now I don't have to worry about Crime, or if the face down card is Soliac, or I think they discarded Meta Noise or milled Meta Noise earlier, so I don't think it's that, but I can just turn off Crime and Soliac by simply switching to attack mode and moving to battle phase. Then I can make another Crimson Dragon for Blazar, and then also at the end phase, my Red Supernova would come back. So, yeah, pretty much no matter what my opponent did there, they were just going to lose. So, let's do one more game, and then we'll finish off here. Alright, final game for this video is going to be against another Voiceless voice deck. Yeah, like I said before, I haven't been seeing too much of these, but then in this game session, this play session rather, while playing this deck, I ran into them, I think actually 3 times total, so it's probably just personal variance on my part. Alright, we have another going first turn. Did we do all going first games here? I think we might have, but this one will be a little bit more back and forth. So I'm going to use the pre-meta to go for the stand-up Centurion here. Stand-up F, pitch the Druid Storm, because I'm already holding Magnum Hut. So I'm going to go for the Magnum Hut here. My opponent's got a Maxi, though. I can, however, chain the Trudea, but it's like, how much do I really want to play into this Maxi? I don't know. They're going to get one draw here off the Magnum Hut. Alright, I'll bonfire for Judea in case I like top deck into the other bonfire or something. And I'm actually going to pass here, because the way I see it, I'm like, okay, it's definitely not ideal to just pass here, but I do still have the ability to make Centurion Legatia off of these two with the stand-up Centurion on the field. And I do have the Baldrake for not only some potential graveyard disruption, but also some summon disruption as well. So I find that Legatia for me is most often useful in situations like this where you're either in a grindy game or for whatever circumstances you're forced to play kind of heads up, just having the level 4 and 8 on the field going into your opponent's turn, right? Alright, anyway, we're going to pre-prep for the Skull. Prayer is the Voiceless voice here. So this kind of tells me they don't have low yet, otherwise you would definitely normal summon her. So I want to attack this Skull Guardian while it's still vulnerable on the field, right? So Skull Guardian effect is going to activate. I'm going to go for the stand-up Centurion effect here. Synchroing my pre-meta and Trudea, and going for the Legatia. Right, they're going to add the low with the Skull Guardian. Now Legatia can pop the Skull Guardian, but they have the Ash Blossom, and that is one pretty big drawback of Centurion Legatia, right? Is the fact that the pop is tied to a draw effect, which means they can Ash Blossom it. So I am, however, going to establish the Baldrake definitely before they normal summon low here, which is, of course, going to be their next action. So low goes for Barrier. Barrier adds the Saphira, and then, of course, they're going to activate the Saphira effect, sending itself into their prayers in order to add, this time, the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon, which Saphira is going to banish itself and tribute the low to summon the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph. Now, this does mean that there is a moment here where the low is no longer on the field. Therefore... Oh, wait, does this actually get the negate if it's in the graveyard, too? No, they have to control it to get the negate. That's right. So I figured, okay, I'm going to go for the Baldrake here and see if I can't banish the Pendulum Graph. But, of course, they're also holding the Soravis. Yeah, this was a case, I think, of Voiceless voice player just kind of having everything. Granted, they did lead with Extrav and also going second, so they had a ton of cards in hand. And, of course, they cycled the Maxi as well, so it's understandable, but yeah. Like I said, they kind of just had everything here, unfortunately, but it happens, you know. Is this might, and I think mostly, might mostly just be because I haven't played against the deck yet, but I think this is actually my first loss to Voiceless Voice. But granted, I think it's like my 5th or 6th game against them total, so I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm a god gamer against Voiceless Voice, but I mean, to be fair, I think also the reason that it's seeing even 8% play right now is a lot of new deck hype. Not that I think Voiceless is a bad deck, but I think as time goes on, it'll settle more to kind of like where Unchained is in like the 1.5 to 2% play rate range. But you know, it's such an expensive deck that you got to get your worth out of it, right? So definitely another, I think, reason why people are kind of playing it, but a very minor one, I'll be at that. So anyway. Yeah, those are Centurion games. Thank you so very much for checking these out. And if you're looking forward to more Centurion action, don't worry, because the Stardust Bestial variant is very much on my radar, and I am working on that build as we speak. But that'll do it for this one. So this is going to be... I was about to do the outro here. I don't know why I want to do that sometimes. We'll just cut over to the outro. So, yep, see you later. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.